So hi, how you doing? My name is Christian Lander. Thank you for taking the time out to come and join us here today. This is not the rabbit hole that is reality. This is not the rabbit hole that is reality. This, in fact, is something of an experiment. Like the stage performers and the actors or the demonstrators or the set practitioners, they want to craft their future projects. Those who want to hone their techniques and forge the body in the fire of their will. Sometimes you've got to have a few experiments first to find out what works, and that's what we're here today. So actually, throughout the show, I want you to pop a few comments below and give me some feedback, send me an email, send me a tweet or whatever, but a feedback about the show. We're going to go with the content and see if you like it, so to speak. So let's jack in the power to this experiment as the flooding happens across our nation over the last 2 days. Everywhere is high and full of water. So come on, plug into yourself a kettle, pop out a cold one, kick back, and let's go explore this curious world as we spin through the universe at 1,037 miles an hour. This is not the rabbit hole, that is reality. So, Storm Desmond, right? Storm Desmond is now battering down on the UK. It has done the last 2 nights, as we've just mentioned. I've been away in York at a conference, and something that's I'm going to talk about in a few minutes' time. Exploring the extraordinary, arranged by Dr. Hannah Gilmer. I've been there all weekend. It's been pretty cool. But Storm Desmond, this is I'm just going off the cuff here. Why do we name our storms now? I mean, they're fucking storms. I would understand the mentioning and the naming of hurricanes, because it's easier to classify them and obviously to remember which ones did what, Katrina and so on. But a fucking storm, generally, okay, it's pretty bad. But to fucking name a general storm, does it help that we've now personified them? We've now given them a title. This is what Desmond did to us this week. This is what, and what we've got now. We've got the humanization, effectively, of nature. And I don't really quite know why we've done that or how we've done that, but it certainly appears to be the rolling theme, certainly across the news. If you listen to the news and the way they're talking about it, it's all like, Storm Desmond is battering the UK and it's terrible. And it's like, come on, it's a fucking... Okay, the water's pretty bad. Okay, the rain's pretty high, yeah, okay. But fucking naming it? I mean, come on, it's not a kid. It's a storm. Get over it. Far be it for me to just rant away. I mean, I was up in York, and you can see some shots now of the river that is burst its banks. But I guess York is prepared for that kind of thing because it has flooded many times over the years. It's a bit more well prepared than say the Trent. Actually, it's overflowing pretty bad down there. So, as I said, I've been away at the Exploring the Extraordinary conference in York. So, before I get... I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I was going to put my brief here, my pack, and kind of talk about some of the talks that happened, and the doctors and the MA students, of course, who were delivering their talks on various topics. And we're going to go through it in a few minutes, but I've got to tell you something about my hotel room, right? So here's me. I've booked into the Marriott Hotel, and got a nice lady on the desk who said she'd go for a drink with me. Which is quite nice. She didn't in the end. She was too busy. But hey, there you goes. So I went to my hotel room, right? The hotel corridors kind of looked... If you've ever watched the original Ghostbusters movie, right, you know where there's like Peter Venkman stood there and there's like Slimer, and he's like, Ray, I'm looking right at it. Oh, it's a red little spot, isn't it? Yeah. Ah. Okay, that corridor is exactly what the corridor looked like on my hotel floor. So every time I walked down there, I was semi-expecting to see Slimer at the other end just coming my way. You know, it would have kind of linked into Exploring the Extraordinary, but unfortunately, it didn't happen. I didn't get slimed. No. But anyway, so my bedroom, right? So my hotel room, my Marriott hotel, you know, kind of expensive, right? So I was the bedroom. It wasn't one double bed. It was 2 double beds in one room. I was actually debating whether to push them together and have kind of a quad bed, but I didn't kind of go for it in the end because there was there was a chest of drawers with a lamp on in the centre. I couldn't be able to move it. But yeah, so I was there for 2 nights. So I slept in one bed one night. I slept in the other bed the other night, just to make use of them. What am I going to do? it kind of reminded me, in fact, when I was growing up, when I was about 9 years old, right, me and my mother, at the time we were homeless, right, so we were spending time in a hotel. It was called the Graham Hotel. It's on Oundle Road in Peterborough. I don't even know if it's still there or whatever. And we kind of moved into this was probably, I don't know how long we were going to be there, about 6 weeks or whatever, and the room we stayed in had like 5 beds, and each one was progressively bigger, and the amount we were only there for a short period of time. I literally slept in every bed, over the course of a couple of weeks, and then when I spent like one night in one night in the other bed, it kind of reminded me of that, and I just kind of thought it kind of reminds me a bit of childhood, a bit of fun while I was away and enjoying some good talks. So good talks they were indeed, and thank you for Hannah Gilbert and the organisers of Exploring the Oak Story 7. Let's just go down a few of the topics that were covered. Again, it was mainly academic presentations and talks, so it was pretty good to see the professional side of I said the paranormal with the unexplained, but strange abilities and strange stories. So Professor Chris Rowe, he was talking about the Ganzfeld stimulation, and the idea, of course, you could promote a sense of visual hallucination, as it were, through an interesting experiment of covering the eyes through the Ganzfeld stimulation, and obviously have a light projected onto that, which you technically wouldn't be able to see, and it kind of produces visual hallucinations. There was an interesting talk by Sarah McCain from the Open University, who was talking about extraordinary from a sociological perspective. That was really interesting. The voodoo doll, and it's that was from University of Manchester's Natalie Armitage here, and she was kind of talking about how the figurative magic of the 20th century and how the voodoo doll is very prevalent, but not just in the sense of being voodoo and the connotations that come with that. In fact, how the sense of damaging an effigy or piercing or damaging it has obviously come through the ages, but also how it can also be used to positive effect, not necessarily physically doing it, but doing that, it takes away from the hate and the anger of oneself. So, i.e. for instance, the example in my mind's eye while I was being told this was that you often buy them things from like Argos, right? When it's stress relief dolls or stress relief heads that you squeeze and go, and you put on your desk at work or whatever or at home. So it's kind of a bit like that. You damage that as opposed to doing it for real. And there was some good interesting examples where they showed a picture of David Cameron's effigy that, of course, got burned during the November the 5th. And I was kind of wondering to myself, and the way this has been explained, we would use the effigy to not do the real thing, even though we burned David Cameron because we wanted him to feel pain over the actions that the Conservative Party and the British government presently are making to the likes of Syria and the world and the arms deals and the hypocrisy that is currently running rampant. So, but therefore, in that context, does that mean we didn't hurt David Cameron? We only hurt his effigy. That way, it kind of dissipated the hate? I don't think so. I mean, we still hate the guy. We really do. I guess someone's got to be the head of the Hydra that we look at and we blame. And again, on the first day, there was an interesting story from the psychic self, from Fiona Bowie. She's Dr. Fiona Bowie from King's College University. That was really interesting. And I would recommend that you go and have a look at the ETE website. Let's have a quick look through the wows that was presented. Because in fact, right, I didn't take any notes, which is quite strange, right? So normally you go to a conference and sit there with the iPad open or your pen and paper in hand, you're constantly making notes, and sometimes I think it gets in the way, and I really didn't want to do that this time around. So I kind of wanted to take in the experience. So what I mean by that is a lot of people go to, say, a gig or a show, or even theatre these days sometimes, and people get the camera out, right? They're sitting there looking through, trying to work out if I got a camera around to demonstrate, but I haven't. And people watch the show through the lens, as opposed to watching the live experience of the audio and the visual. And I really wanted to, that was my experiment this weekend, was to literally just take in the talks on the facts, information, the presentations, and the white papers that, of course, that they've put forth. And that was something I really wanted to go with. I met met many very fantastic people this weekend, in fact. A guy called Professor Charles Knuckles from Brigham Young University, from over in the US. exploring possession and mediumship in a South Indian village in regards to the family constructs that exist within the castes of these two villages, one of which experienced a great deal of death in regards to a tidal wave that came sweeping through and wiped out 30,000 members of the village, and they believed it was being done by a goddess, and they had to make offerings and sort of a sacrifice in a way to appease this goddess, and they were given information by a medium that was really interesting connections, family-wise, traditional, and there was a really bizarre moment where he explained that he was talking to one of the people there. It's like, if you believe this was done because God or your goddess was angry with you, and this medium over here, this spirit channeling person, says that the goddess is telling you to do this, and then you're not going to follow through with these family arrangements, as it were. Why not? And it was posed the question of, if spirit guides are giving people information, are we actually following up on it? And that was a really interesting talk. There was one time that kind of did strike me quite a bit. It was a guy called Matt Coward from St John University in York, where he was exploring the phenomena of the multiple suicides of the suicide forest at the bottom of Mount Fuji in Japan, and its links to obviously not mass suicides, and what leads them to make those kinds of profound choices in their life to actually choose to end it. And it was explored through a manga called Kurosangi, and his MA is actually an analysis of the Kurosangi, which is it's a manga, and there's a number of characters in their book that actually go around helping people who've committed suicide. They kind of a spirit rescue service, as it were, and it seems to be quite profound. There was one character who was a medium, one guy who has a sock puppet on his hand. There was one who is an embalmer, which is quite interesting because, of course, in Japan, no one actually gets embalmed, everyone gets cremated generally, and how they go around helping the spirits or those who have unfinished business, because, of course, to die in Japan in an honourable way, it's culturally very negative to do such a thing. So that they're trying to help these spirits move on, and to see that analysis through the eyes of an academic is really quite interesting, and I'd like to have seen some more through that. A really good guy I have not seen for quite some time was speaking about the Fortean, and in regards to John Lear, and that was Dr. David, and a guy I have not spoke to in quite some time. And he told us a story. Actually, it was quite interesting. Are you familiar with the Mothman prophecies? There was a 2002 film with Richard Gere about Point Pleasant, at the time back in the 1960s, and where this village, this town really, got allegedly kind of visitation by some kind of a moth-like entity that was it was never really described as an entity. It was something of a being. It was just described as if something flying with large moth-like or bat-like wings that had two bright red eyes, and chased the car. And some people saw that as an omen, because a few months later the bridge in Point Pleasant actually collapsed, and they saw this Mothman as a form of prophecy for that occurring. And of course John Keel, of course, had been one of the, I wouldn't say disciples, but certainly the continuing researchers after Charles Fort of strange and unusual phenomena. And of course in the film that was played by Richard Gere. And that was interesting. Telephone conversations, doppelganger positions. There was a really quite interesting story about this. But the one thing that really stood out for me is that when David explained about the concept of the Men in Black, because Men in Black phenomena has kind of interested me, because I've met people who've had first-hand accounts of this. So he described how Men in Black really, when it entered pop culture, was really through this story, not by the movie, because the Men in Black weren't featured in the movie, but they were featured in the book and in the accounts of John Keel. And that was, he effectively was the Man in Black. So let's get this straight. So he effectively became the pop culture reference, perhaps unknowingly. What happened is his car had broken down, and obviously he was in a black suit with his fedora, and went to knock on a number of people's houses, asking to use the phone for some assistance. It wasn't until much, much after, and obviously the bridge collapsed and so on, that witnesses claimed that people dressed as Men in Black had been to their houses previously before the bridge collapsed, and therefore perhaps they thought it was the government coming and knocking, and who they were, these strange bearded characters wearing immaculate suits with a black hat, and if actually that was actually John himself knocking on people's doors. So in many ways, he kind of put himself into the position unintentionally of a Fortean character, which has now obviously entered pop culture in the form of the Men in Black, and that was really quite interesting twist on things. So it was those kind of stories that really quite interested me. There was an interesting talk by Dr. Kerry Holbrook from the University of Manchester about the diffusion of folk tales and how folk tales, if it's a move location and somewhere imported, and the particular one she was talking about was called Borrowing Boggarts, that particular park that's located in Manchester that has myths and legends of a certain character, the Boggart, and how that may have been brought in externally, and then the people have kept it alive there in the sense of the mythology, and how it actually has longer connotations from other locations, and how the story also is transported to other places. Have a look through this as well. See anything else that really stood out for me. Again, there was so many good, really good breakdowns and scientific papers. Chris Lambert, that was really good. Chris Lambert, yeah, he's obviously a drama teacher. I say teacher. He's a PhD in theatre and drama. He always explored his life through as someone who kind of had to deal with books being taken from him as a child. He was talking about Dungeons and Dragons style books that you used to follow from page to page as a bit of an adventure, the FNF books, the Final Fantasy books, and how through his religious upbringing as religious parents, they literally burned their books and kept them from him. The natural fact that drove him away from religion to find his art in the form of writing and playwriting and acting. But that's enough of that, really. I think if you wanted to go find out more, I'm sure you already will do. Yeah, it was certainly an interesting conference. There was so much more to explore than the ordinary. And so I want you to go and have a look at the website. That will be up in just a second. So, wow, there's so much going on already. So it's that time of year, isn't it? You know, it's Christmas. You know, it's December. I think right now is the right kind of time to have the lights up. Now is the right kind of time to have the trees up and the decorations going. And I don't mind going to shops now and seeing Christmas kind of in full bloom. But you know, a month ago, 2 months ago, you were seeing like decorations out everywhere. In actual fact, in my workplace, of course, literally was Halloween when all the Christmas stuff piled out. And I was like, oh, come on, already? No, it's wrong. But now is the right time. Now, so if you are celebrating Christmas and you start making Yule, or you go into Hanukkah, which of course starting today, the 6th, well, enjoy your celebrations, have some good fun, have some merry cheer, get together with your friends and family, and have a fantastic time. It's a time to get together with your family and with your friends. And it's important, you know, community is good. Whatever your revelry is, whatever your passion or religion or even ideology, it doesn't matter. And even if it's not, just get together with your friends. You need it. We all need it. Some good times together. But as it stands for me, I'm a bit of a humbugger, really, as you might have already gathered. I kind of gave up on Christmas, not because I didn't want it, not because I don't want to get together with people. I'm just like fucking sick of it. You know, actually, manager-wise, yeah, I'm at retail. We've been seeing this stuff for just weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. It just kills these celebrations. It kills the period. And you know what? When you have it off, you just don't want to fucking see Christmas when you come home from work. It's like, ugh. But where I'm going with that really is I actually, for the first time in about 4 years, I actually bought some Christmas lights. I actually decorated my window and it's extremely bright, and I'll show you a picture in a second. They cost me like £3 from eBay. And actually they're really nice, they're really good. And it's just like, it kind of fill me with a bit of a seasonal joy and jingle. And maybe I'm becoming a bit of a softie again towards the Yuletime spirit. But I would rather have my Christmas Eve broken up, in fact, by the Ghost of Christmas Past, by the Ghost of Christmas Present, and by the Ghost of Christmas Future. I would love to have that experience. You know, sat there on Christmas Eve night, sat in bed, perhaps not really getting woken up in the middle of the night, Next thing you know, you're visiting your past and through some kind of remote viewing experiment, and again through your present eyes and how your actions at present, are being affected on other people, and how in the future what that might turn out to be like. That sounds pretty cool. But talking of pretty cool, so one of the things I really wanted to include in the Rabbit Hole That Is Reality, that is not the Rabbit Hole That Is Reality now, is a kind of feature where I wanted to take 3 things that kind of give you the what the fuck face, the WTF face, right? So 3 things or 3 stories that have captured my attention this week. That is the what the fuck. So let's see if we can do the what the fuck face. No? The what? What? No way. What? Anyway, let's forget that shit. So yeah, 3 stories that kind of took my eye this week that fucking make no fucking sense at all. I think they can be funny, they can be normal, they can be kind of strange, they can be kind of just ridiculous. And I want you to send me some suggestions. So if I miss these things, so maybe that's how we should do it, right? So I should find 3, and you, the audience, will find me some links and stuff of stuff that you think is just really fucked up, that you just want to share, just to get some other guy's opinion, and then obviously I can share it out as well. So if I'll take the 3 stories of the week, my 3 what the fuck stories of the week, and I want you to send me a link, send me some links, drop some links below. Send me an email or whatever of a what the fuck story this week. So the first one we're going to go to is this one. I think is pretty fucked up. Of course, you know now that Britain is into the campaign for bombing Syria, which is you might have thought this was going to be a funny story. This is a funny story, and generally it is. Where are we? Let's have a quick look. Make sure we got the right place. So, I saw this in the Daily Express, and also it's covered by 21st Century Wire as well. This story is pretty funny because it's just fucking obscene hypocrisy. That is, on the 23rd of October 2015, Russia bombed the fuck out of an ISIS oil refinery and an oil field. Literally, the comment was, and I quote, "The terrorist oil field in eastern Syria, part of a $500 million crude crusade for the group, was obliterated in a day." So obliterated, think of that word there, hold that in your mind. And that was conducted by Russia. So the US Operations Minister Michael Filansky told reporters also that America had also obliterated the same oil fields. So okay, get Russia and America in the same place, obliterating it in both contexts there. And the Baghdad Omar oil fields was heavily blitzed and heavily damaged. That was a lucrative funding source for ISIS, Daesh, ISIL, whatever you want to fucking call them these days, whatever the US propaganda branding wants to put on them. But he said the strikes last night struck Daesh-controlled oil refineries, command and control centres and transportation nodes. All 26 targets were struck and destroyed. So, what was the date I told you? 23rd of October. Did you know that just 2 fucking hours after MPs voted in favour of launching airstrikes against Syria, we stuck a real death blow. A real blow to the death cult known as Daesh. Yeah, we actually bombed a already completely obliterated location. With may I mention, the bombs actually cost £110,000 each. But it was completely obliterated by the Americans and the Russians. Yet we decided to bomb 2 hours after going, yeah, let's bomb the same place. Fucking great, Britain. Great. So it's like an excessive hyperbole, really. Again, I'm just obviously reading the story here from 21st Century Wire. It's interesting, the first target that the British hit, they said that was completely obliterated before. I don't know, that just sounds a bit fucking ridiculous to me, but it is absolutely true. So, at 21st Century Wire, the guys over there kind of aim it towards if Britain, as the airstrikes are not actually hitting live ISIS targets, perhaps they're working towards a true endgame to oust Assad. And I certainly think that is certainly the plan there. And also trying to fight, or not to say fight back, but also maintain a presence in the area against Russia being there. Because obviously Russia are legally there. Requested there by Syria via the UN. Britain is not, America is not, France is not. They are there illegally. But of course, we obviously want to maintain that position. But yeah, complete hypocrisy, complete stupidity. Let's bomb an oil field that has already been obliterated. That is my first what the fuck story of the day. Let's just try to go something a little bit lighter, a little bit funnier this time. I came out of work on Wednesday I came out of work, and there was there's a market outside my workplace, and I was on my lunch break, and there was a guy there just talking. He was an imam, or certainly a cleric of the Islamic faith, and he was talking to a group of people, and I had to intersect because he literally told them that the world is not round. Let me tell you that again. The world is not round. He was telling people who were, oh, yeah, that sounds so good. He literally was telling these people the fucking world is flat. And I was like, dude, no, you can put two sticks in a fucking field. I go Archimedes and fucking watch the angle of the sun go over. If you go high enough, you can see the arc of the earth, mate. You can see the curvature on the planet. If you go from England to Pakistan, you can see, you go over land. If you go high enough, you can see the stars, you know? And it's like, how the fuck can you tell these people that the world is flat? What is wrong with you? But true, these fucking people have an audience. And these audiences are young, they're impressionable people, and they also will repeat that mantra. You know, fucking stupid. Fucking stupid. I mean, there's the fact that it's text that is literally being taken literally. Where he says, obviously, God has been to the four corners of the earth, and they're going, well, if there's four corners in the earth, therefore it must be a piece of paper and it's flat. No. He just means, perhaps, I don't fucking know what he means. But it certainly doesn't mean the world is flat. It's ridiculous. Yeah, what he also said from that, and I'll tell you no word of a lie, he said that the satellites aren't real. He said that, and when I was arguing and criticising his point of view, he was saying, well, the satellites are just sending us information that's come through the government. They want us to believe the world is round. And I was like, how the fuck do you think you talk to people on the other side of the world? You have satellites positioned in geosynchronous positions, or ones that are moving around the Earth, so you literally can talk in real time off those satellites and talk to people on the other side. Yeah, we are around a sphere. That's been well known. And yeah, that's a what the fuck moment. That was my personal what the fuck moment of the week that I was personally involved with. So next what the fuck moment. It's not necessarily of this week actually. When I attempted to record. Not that this is rabbit hole of reality. Tongue twisting myself there. It was the day that Sally Morgan kind of came back on the public scene, as she had an article that she wrote for the Daily Mirror. So this is kind of like not this week. It was actually like last week. It's funny as fuck. It really is. So if you believe in the world of spirit, and if you believe in the world of potentially contacting people who are on the other side who have survived bodily death. Did you know there's actually certain places where apparently, according to Sally Morgan, it's actually easier to do so. So, Sylvia, you're sat behind me. I'm going to poke you in a second. And so you're going to have to shut up so it comes over the mic and so on. So, I want to ask you, Sylvia, so, of all the towns and all the cities that are across England, I want you to guess... Okay, so we've got a list of 10. We've got a list of 10 places where Sally Morgan says they are more psychic than anywhere else. I would like you to try and throw me three cities or throw me 3 towns, and I will tell you if they are on the list. And what are you thinking about that? Because I can see you thinking. So she describes one of these cities, I quote, as God's waiting room. A sleepy retirement resort, and that is the best place in which to get in contact with the dead. Says Sally Morgan, Britain's biggest psychic. She says this place, this city, this town is God's waiting room. So Sylvia, can you guess what city that is?
The first thing that comes to me is Canterbury.
The first place that comes to you is Canterbury. Is there any reason why Canterbury comes to your mind?
Well, because she said God's waiting room.
God's waiting room. Okay, I can sort of see your link there. So, actually, no, the place, the most psychic town in Britain, apparently, according to Sally Morgan, is Eastbourne. What the fuck is an Eastbourne? Seriously, besides a pier. I think I actually went to Eastbourne when I was like very young. I think I went there for a wedding when I was like 9. That's a pretty cool castle we stayed in Hastings, actually. But yeah, she says that Eastbourne is God's waiting room, and it's a sleepy retirement resort that is Eastbourne. And Sylvia, could you tell me perhaps another couple that you think might be on the list of 10? I'm gonna read down this. She says that here. She believes as a nation we are becoming more and more psychic, which leads to more hauntings and brushes with the afterlife. We are definitely becoming more psychic, quotes here. People are more open to the possibility that spirits exist, and because of this, there is more psychic phenomenon. She added, would like to think that we are more psychic as a nation now because of the terrible things that are happening in the world, and people are looking for answers that did not get on a normal level. So, Sylvia, people are looking for the spirit world for explanations. Could you please tell me what towns you think they might be going to best? So what cities do you think they need to go to in order to get into the spirit world and not talk to all those fluffy fairies?
Whitby?
Whitby? Why Whitby? Why is that on your list?
I guess because it's a place where you tend to find a lot of ancient and old dead things.
Ancient old dead things, okay. They're called bikers and rockers, but I don't think they're going to be quite agree with that.
I was talking about fossils, actually.
Fossils, okay, fossils, okay. Anywhere else? Because I have to say Whitby is not on the list.
No.
No, come on. You've got 10 cities that are quite popular, they're quite well known. I just want you to grab another one.
Derby.
Derby. The dead centre of England, as Richard Felix puts it. No, it's not on the list. So I shall give you a quick, fast top 10 rundown. We have Eastbourne, Torquay, Norwich, Cardiff. Norwich. Oh, fuck off. Eastbourne, Torquay, Norwich, Cardiff, Edinburgh, St Helens, Kettering, Llandudno, the Isle of Wight, and York. So if your town is not on the list, Sally Morgan says perhaps talking to ghosts there is a bit harder. So please go to Eastbourne. Perhaps she's been paid for by the Eastbourne Tourist Board. I would assume also means Sally also means more gullible customers can go to these places. But again, that's just my position. I know. I should keep my tongue closed to things like that. Perhaps. So, where are we going to show to next? What's next on what is not the rabbit hole that is reality? Star Wars. Okay, let's just look at my notes here, and I'm just seeing that it says Star Wars not on my notes. In fact, it's just behind. Of course, the Star Wars trailers are now out. Of course, the film is due to open next week, I believe it is. I think it's the 13th. The film opens nationwide in the UK, and there's a lot of people queuing up to see it. I was never, I have to say, and please don't hate me, I was never actually a Star Wars fan. I didn't really buy into the toys or anything like that when I was a kid. And I watched them and went, it's okay. I didn't dislike Star Wars, but I didn't become like an obsessive Jedi wannabe, or an imperial fascist in that sense. I watched it, enjoyed it as a film, and that was it. I think a lot of people do too. Unfortunately, I do think there's a lot of people who just obsess over it to the point where it's actually just become a whole new way of life. Heck, Jedi, in fact, is considered to be a form of paganism. Anyway, so. Star Wars, of course, Star Wars and Spaceballs, right? Do you remember Spaceballs? It was the kind of the Star Wars parody that had Rick Moranis. I think it came out like mid-1980s. A fantastic parody, absolutely brilliant. It's kind of a bit like an airplane of Star Wars. Well, Spaceballs is what I'm going to be talking about, right? So it's Spaceballs. Well, in fact, Planet Destroyer. In fact, there might well be a Planet Destroyer hovering somewhere above Spain, because over the last few weeks, they've been getting bombarded with Spaceballs. Absolutely true. This is fun. Let me just go to the website here, and I shall tell you all about it. So basically, mysterious spheres, balls, are literally falling from the sky all over Spain. I say all over, particular sounds. So mysterious black beach ball-sized balls have literally just been raining down into the cities. Particular Spanish town of Calaspara. They've been having unexplained falling objects for quite some time. And should they move away? Should they protect themselves, or should they guard and armour up their roofs? So the first object was found a few weeks ago, beginning of November. It was found by a guy called Jon Francisco and his brother. They were out grazing their livestock, and this object was pretty huge. They said it was the field was empty before. They found no tracks to this location. After taking pictures of the strange sphere, measuring over a metre and was in fact over 20 kilos in weight. they found some soldiers nearby, and they contacted the Civil National Guard, who then came over to investigate. In fact, they brought in the nuclear and radiological, bacterial and chemical units to actually make sure it was actually safe, because they didn't know where it came from either. So, but they ruled it out as being a military object, or a rocket part, or even a falling piece of debris from space. So it's now been sent to the National Research Centre in Cartagena, and they've informed residents that it may be an aerospace artifact. Now, you would think that would be okay, and that probably be all the end of it. Well, it happened again. It did, and it happened again a little while later. The village of Villavella, as you heard an article, they've had 7 to 8 balls of fire, quote, and officials from the local safety board came to investigate, and they again have found more of these spheres and pieces. So, are we having something of a bit of a wave of these strange objects falling from the sky? There was a mysterious sphere that fell in Brazil in 2012 that is highlighted here on this article. Again, this article I'll post, make sure there's a link below, make sure you can follow this up as well. In 2012, I actually wrote a little bit of an article. I do say it's a little bit because it kind of connects a number of stories about falling balls from the sky. In fact, some of the first ones that were actually reported were actually quite a while ago. There's in January the 10th, 1884. Again, this is found in Charles Fort's complete works. There was a thick shower of ashy matter that landed in marble-sized balls that were soft and pulpy, and crumbled to the crunch that fell over a town. It was Kimberley in the United States. It's 1884, so it was suddenly before airplanes were up in the air, of course. And where's the rest of my articles? There was that's right. There was the blue spheres that fell in like 2012 as well. They were like these kind of jelly-like balls that fell over Dorset and Bournemouth and had no smell. And there's actually quite a big history over that area. Certainly in Dorset, back in the 1700s, there was 3 villages that had strange objects fall over the town. So, were these related? Were they interconnected? Probably not. But these showers of things from the sky, always fascinating. Things like falling fish, falling frogs, even money from the sky. How does that even happen? I don't know. I really don't. But transparent balls, metal, fucking 1 meter wide metal balls falling from space is certainly something you don't want to be landing on top of your garden roof, or while you're in the cars. And next thing you know, you got a meteorite-like thing coming through the roof. What do you think? What do you think these magic balls, these strange spheres are calling from? Not necessarily from space, but hey, if they are, let us know what your thoughts are below. Maybe are these space-bound Illuminati, space-faring Galactic Federation of Light, or whatever they're going to be called? Are they firing metal projectiles at the Earth in order to get us linked into the world of love and light and spiritual fluffiness? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on that one. Well, let's. Where is the other piece of article-y stuff I put together? Or shall I leave it there? No, I'm not going to leave it there. In fact, because obviously I kind of always wanted to end. I always like to end on quite a funny story, and I had one like a couple of days ago, right? And well, actually, it's something that's not funny, but the way that the Cyclopedian jokes go is that how do you get a clown off a swing? You hit him in the face with an axe. It shouldn't be funny, but it is. The Monty Python kind of a sense of humour. Well, we're kind of going towards a bit of a police state right now, right? Thought crimes are going off. You can get arrested for doing stuff you're not supposed to do. Just because you might do it, you can get imprisoned, for as long as you can be, or as long as can be possible, for you literally just that you might do a crime, or you literally thought crime is happening. Well, there was a guy who was arrested in India, and let's see if I can bring up the story here, and I'll send you a link and a picture to it. And where is it? Let's just have a quick zoom in on this photograph. Here we are. So, this guy, I want to finish on a bit of a funny note, right? So, Mumbai police, they arrested a restaurant owner for drinking tea in a suspicious manner. Can you drink tea in a suspicious manner? I haven't even got a cup. I can't even. Oh, I have got a cup. I'm acting shifty. Now I get arrested. Well, Johnny, this guy was named Vijay Patil. He was arrested and charged preventative detention of someone who's suspected and might commit a crime in the future. However, there was Justice Patil on the Mumbai High Court who ordered police to drop the case because there's no way to drink tea suspiciously. However, of course, he was held in jail for a period of time for allegedly just drinking tea suspiciously. So, if you could send me a picture, if you could send me a video of you drinking a cup of tea suspiciously, I'll send you something. That's it. I'll send you something. And I've no idea what it might be, but I guarantee it'll make you smile and you'll get some benefit out of it, whatever it is. If you could send me a picture, or send me a video, send me a link below if you can, post it in the comments, or send it to me on Facebook, Twitter, or whatever, of you drinking tea suspiciously. And if you do that, I'll make sure you get something for Christmas. Okay, go with that. Go with that. So, this has not been the rabbit hole as reality. This, again, has been a bit of an experiment to see if the kind of content kind of find the way that works. And like all comedians say, sometimes you've got to tell a joke about maybe 6 or 7 times on stage to find the right way to deliver it. And that's what we're here today. This is an experiment. This is not the rabbit hole. This is reality. My name is Christian Lander. I'm not going to tell you to like this video. If you like it, you're going to like it yourself. I'm not going to tell you to subscribe because if you like it and want to see more, you already would have done so. And you may be thinking about doing it now. So this is me, Christian Lander, signing off. So till next time, I'll see you in the world of the internet very soon.